it's not carrying that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. We will call the meeting to order. Christy, will you do roll call, please?
John?
Here.
Chris?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
Brian?
Yes.
We have a quorum?
All right, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Brian, will you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I have proof of publication in front of me. Visitors' correspondence. Anyone desiring to speak on any item or issue not on the agenda, or any item on the agenda that does not include a public hearing may do so, but shall be limited to 3 minutes. Persons should identify themselves by name and address. Person speaking should not expect the council to engage in back and forth dialogue regarding their comments. Unless an agenda item includes a public hearing, no person may speak during the business portion of the meeting, provided, however, persons speaking during a public hearing are limited to 5 and 20 minutes. The public is advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the council chamber, and 1 copy of all reproducible written material to be discussed at this meeting is available for examination of copying. Next, we do need a motion to approve the agenda. However, we need to approve that with the removal of number 13, the people service renewal of the service agreement. So Jeff is working on that and has a red line version, but we need a little bit more time. So I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda minus item number 13.
So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. All in favor? All right, we only need
Cindy? I'm sorry, who made the motion?
I did.
And who seconded?
Brian.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, now I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. All in favor? All right, number 8, Jerry Nordell. So Jerry, if you will come up, I have a certificate for you, and we would like to recognize Jerry for her service on the cemetery board from 2015 to current. So we appreciate all your work, Jerry.
Thank you. Excuse me.
I'll come to you. How about that?
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can take a photo.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much for all your service.
Thank you.
Good job, Jerry.
All right, number 9, we have Cameron Gales, and we are asking to accept the appointment of Cameron Gales as our city administrator. So Cameron is over there. I think everybody but Chris, you were not here when we introduced. So anybody have any questions for Cameron at all before? No. Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept the appointment of Cameron Gales as city administrator.
So moved.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
What is the wage we're giving him?
115. Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Vote, please. All in favor. Congratulations, Cameron. You can't leave yet, Dave. You don't get to leave in the middle of the meeting.
What?
No.
Better be a has-been than a never was.
All right, number 10, cemetery report. Report on the July 22nd, 2024, 48 State Tour. Dean Slater and Krista Lewis.
It's all that noise you're making, Mr. Slater.
Excuse my groaning. This 82-year-old body is having difficulty coping with present circumstances. But you do it with a smile. I'm Dean Slater. Most of you know me. I have students and parents of students and so on throughout the room. And so as unaccustomed as I am to public speaking, I'll just roll with it. I'm reporting on the 48 state tour. which took place on July 22nd. I have a couple handouts for your edification. I'll take one.
You can be his fan.
These are the flyers that were sent out
Thank you.
in preparation for what happened on the 22nd.
I think I do. Thank you.
And the other piece is the variety of items that Atlas Preservation. You have those? If somebody wants to get a closer look at this, this is what Atlas Preservation sends out on their card, on their business card. They are a business. And this is why they do this. And it is a service by this company in Connecticut. And their goal is to enhance the preservation, restoration, and furtherance of the physical area of the cemeteries throughout the United States. They do the lower 48. It's a bit difficult for them to get to the other two. Atlas Preservation is totally family-owned. It's a family-owned corporation. And their goal, you can see on the handouts, what they're about, and the products that they use or have available are as American-made as they possibly can. Totally within the United States. There are some items that they simply can't get the quality that they demand, and we demand, obviously. And so a few items have to be done from overseas sources. Jonathan Appel is the CEO and president, and you'll see his name on there. And he is the presenter. And do you remember the young lady's name who came along this year? I don't know either. I didn't write it down. But it is a hands-on activity. They bring those people a wealth of knowledge and information to attend. Unfortunately, for Valley, we have had it 2 years in a row, in '23 and now in '24. They liked us well enough that they wanted to come back. And because of what Rat Valley represents as far as a broad range of issues, and also the broad range of the history behind the cemetery, which is a capstone in Valley's cap, so to speak. First thing I want to do is to thank the staff of the office staff of the City of Valley, and Christine, you have been instrumental, that the whole staff helped carry this thing off. The City Public Works gentlemen who came out, both in '23 and in '24. They jumped right in, they got their hands dirty, straightening stones, techniques of how to get them erect and level and standing and so on. I have to say right now that the condition of our cemetery was stellar because of the city maintenance staff. I can't say enough praise about the City Public Works people. And if you have any questions, we'll answer them when we both get done. Want to recognize the cemetery board, both past and present. Kurt Muley, Betty Wilmer, Jerry Nordell, who has since retired, Linda Gray, Kava. She's the newest member and she took Jerry's position, but we're not going to let her go. Everett LaRue, Krista Lewis, our secretary, and she'll report on other aspects of the 48 state tour. I also want to recognize the ex officio members of the cemetery board. They are not appointed members, but they show up at almost every meeting, and they are an excellent addition to what we have. Kelly Kava, Jake Lewis, and now Jerry Nordell. I've served on in many organizations as members. Been chairman or president of numerous. And the one thing that you learn in that position of high responsibility is to recognize the spirit, the integrity, the desire, the stick-to-itiveness of all of the members of your organization. And one of the most important lessons I've learned in numerous years, I won't go say how many, but it is absolutely critical in a position of authority to recognize those skills that are necessary for the task you're undertaking and have the wisdom to get out of their way. Last special thanks goes to Dakota Walter, who, as her Eagle Scout project, took on cleaning and restoration of, I think it's 80 stones in the Valley Cemetery. That's a heck of an Eagle Scout badge. But what this tour does, and Krista will get into some more of that, is the networking that was made possible in these 2 years to other cemeteries in Nebraska and within the region are absolutely critical, because the products that this organization or this business has for sale are stone safe. They don't hurt the materials, they don't detract from it. If you go out and take a look, I encourage you to go out and take a look. Some of those Civil War stones that are out there now are gleaming white. And again, that part of that goes back to the city maintenance staff and how fine that worked out there. So kudos to Dakota, and I'll now turn it over to Krista, and then we'll entertain any questions you have.
When we presented and requested you guys to approve it a couple months ago, we had talked about positives and negatives of our previous event, and the one thing that we had asked for a change was for a portable restroom, which you guys did provide, so thank you very much. I mean, we had over 40 people attend, which was kind of awesome. We even had a lady from Alaska that happened to be in town, so she stopped by. So that went off to one of the states he can't go to, so there we go, she spread the wealth. It was a great event. We want to thank Ace Hardware here in town. They were wonderful. They contributed some of our cleaning supplies, which was really wonderful to have a local business able to help us out. In addition, the Family Fair in Elkhorn donated a gift card that we used to feed all of our visitors. And then we actually ended up running out of food, so we ended up running home to our freezer, and luckily we had some stuff left over from the 4th of July, so we were able to kind of roll with our punches there. But we grilled in a cemetery and ate lunch in a cemetery, which is not a common thing, but we're going to bring it back because it's not weird. And then we're hoping that with all of our leftover supplies and the supplies that Dakota gave to us, we're planning to use this for future events. So we're hoping to do smaller scale, local, regional kind of things, but continue to host people into our cemetery. If you guys haven't had a chance, even after the storm and the trees blowing down, it still looks really great out there. We hope you guys will go out and take a peek at everything that's happened. It's looking really good. Oh, and the Valley Days Foundation loaned us their tents, and the fire station loaned us tables and chairs again this year. So it was a group effort, but it worked out really good. So does anyone have any questions for us? I can send before and after pictures. Again, I just didn't do it yet.
How long does that last?
One day.
Forever? Oh, the event?
No,
The results?
yeah, the results. of the
Forever,
study.
hopefully.
Forever. The solution that they do the major part of their cleaning with is that you put it on and then you let it set. Now you can rinse it off, but it keeps on working. What was it? They said 6 months.
Yeah, it's like a biologic cleaner, so it actually goes in there, it seeps into the pores of stones, it pulls out biomatter, so like moss and whatever, and then it continues to purge it out and bleach the stone and bring it back to its original state. And then there was one that we took that was it was an old pedestal stone with a column on it, and it was like literally gonna fall over any day. It was like Tetris. So they were able to remove a middle piece that wasn't savable, flip the base upside down, re-adhere everything back together, and it should be good for moving forward. So reattach the tablet.
Found and cleaned the original wrought iron pin in that column, and it was good enough. That's I'm a blacksmith, okay. But you can slip it back in, put it in, they put a little adhesive on it, so it wouldn't be wobbling around and so on. And one stone, for those of you who have been out there, there is a unique stone that is a tree trunk. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it has the Masonic symbol on it. And, you know, it's like this big round and so on. And Dakota was out there this time also again, and she started cleaning that. They started at the top, putting the solution on it, and then maybe spritzing a rib. And for the next 6 months, that will be in the process of cleaning. Every time it rains, it takes some of the material off, and it brings it all back. And that's kind of a unique stone. The Woodmen of the World Organization, fraternal insurance organization, has also that same design. There were other organizations that used it, but from 1908 or something like that is on that stone. It's on the it's on the west side, the older side, obviously. But yeah, it's, a lot of people get excited about it, and it's kind of addicting, isn't it, Jake?
It is very satisfying to see.
And that's where we get our adjunct members from, and other organizations. And the networking, we have people from Kearney. Our furthest in the state was Chadron, and the furthest nationally was Alaska. Krista can tell you the story behind that. She was visiting.
She was visiting. But yes, if you guys have any questions, obviously let us know. If you want me to create some sort of a before and after for this event, I'm happy to do so. I just didn't do it this time because he told us we're not welcome to apply again, that we're looking too good. So it's a
Yeah.
great problem to have.
Is there anything you need from the city council?
No?
Something you need for next
Oh, yeah.
year?
I think Kearney's interested in
in
having,
hosting,
you know, the gentleman from Kearney, he was kind of, oh, yeah, okay, we might apply next year. But it's by application. And
We won't be applying, but we will come to you when
won't
we
get
need
approved.
approval to have another cleaning event. Maybe this fall, we'll do some cider and tombstones, it'll be fun.
Halloween.
Yep.
Make the best of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate all of your work, everybody on the cemetery board. You guys have
Thank
taken
you.
ownership and we are very self-sufficient. We appreciate that. All right, number 11, closure of street, approval of request to close 285th Circle south of Potter Street for neighborhood night out / gathering on September 14th, 2024 from 5 p.m. to midnight. Is there someone here to talk about that? Nope. Okay. Comments, questions?
I'd be okay approving it, but I'd amend it to 11 o'clock just for consistency on noise ordinance.
Noise ordinance in the neighborhoods. Okay, anybody else?
I'm fine with it.
Till 11 or midnight?
11, yeah, I think that's what we do, everything else says.
We do. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve this request with the amendment of changing it to 11 p.m.
Do we know exactly what this is for? Just
Just
party?
the neighborhood party.
Yeah, that's all the request says
Okay.
on here. That's all it is, that's all I know. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve it with the amendment of going to 11 p.m.
So moved.
Second?
Vote please. All in favor? Thank you. All right, number 12, Valley Landing, approval of ILOC agreement. This is for the agreement for the irrevocable letter of credit with Valley Landing. Is there anything you need to say about that?
No, this is the last piece. At the last meeting, you passed the subdivision agreement, and the way this works is you approve it, and then they will obtain the letter of credit and get it to us. And then once we have it, it all becomes effective, and then they proceed. What they're doing out there now is the grading, which is a private expense. So this is the last piece for Valley Landing.
Okay, someone might want to make a motion, we approve the ILOC agreement for Valley Landing?
So moved.
Second?
Vote please. All in favor? All right, we have removed number 13 from the agenda. Number 14 is approval of resolution number 2024-44, which is the annual certification of program compliance to Nebraska Board of Public Roads Classifications and Standards. So this is the certification we do every year. Would entertain a motion to approve a resolution 2024-44.
So moved.
Second?
Vote please. All in favor? All right, number 15, approval of resolution number 2024-49 to apply for federal assistance from the Land and Water Conservation Fund Program by the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission for the purpose of installing new all-inclusive ADA accessible playground equipment at the City of Valley Park. Doug or Dave, did either of you want to speak on this?
Doug's slower than I am.
Mm-hmm. He didn't even make a move.
I didn't even
He
make a
just-
move.
We're gonna get our full use out of Dave.
Yeah, I guess. This is something that JEO contacted us about. This Game and Parks grant is a matching grant, and it's up to $500,000. So half of it would be $250,000, $250,000. And they look for projects that better communities and have things like all-inclusive playgrounds and that type of a thing. And so it looks very promising for us. It goes through a process. We probably won't know until later this year as far as whether we got it or not. And we have up to 2 years in which to expend the funds that we would get under this grant. So it would fit the phasing of our park renovation very, very well. And I can't imagine anything better for a valley than an all-inclusive ADA compliant park for these younger people, especially who can't enjoy the parks that we do have now. So hopefully you'll support this and we'll get our application in and be successful.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions?
Nope, you answered mine.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-49.
So,
Second?
Vote please. All in favor? All right, number 16, approval of ordinance number 815, revising chapter 2, article 6 of the official city code of the city of Valley regarding nuisances.
Okay, I'm gonna speak on this first, and then if I miss anything, Dave can fill in the things that I missed. So maybe a year and a half ago, I was here and we were kind of updating, not necessarily our nuisance, it was our unsafe structures. I was working with the previous city administrator, and then Dave came in and we kind of changed some of this, not we. He found a state statute which made it a lot easier. A year and a half ago when I brought it forward, I wasn't aware of the state statute and I made it, again, which is my fault, much longer than it needed to be. The state statute is very succinct. It makes my job about 10 times easier. We get quicker results. And again, it's from the state statute, so it's really easy to reference off of what the minimum requirement is for the state. So this is essentially updating our nuisance ordinance, which includes litter, weeds, junk, and also unsafe structures. So that's the first part of it. The second part is the abatement, which I can go in if you guys have questions of how this new process would work, if you guys are curious. Yes? No? Yeah? Okay. So essentially, this is for notice of non-compliance for all nuisances. So again, this includes grass, junk vehicles, unsafe structures. It covers all of this, which is really nice. I'm not having to find 3 different processes for 3 different items. So essentially, it starts out the same. We send certified mail stating, hey, you have, for example, an unsafe structure. This is why it's an unsafe structure per the International Property Maintenance Code. It hits these following things. Here's photos, right? Essentially, we're just sending them a letter saying, hey, this is why we think it's an unsafe structure. Within 5 days of the receipt, which is again when the certified comes in, the owner can come in and request a hearing with the city to appeal the situation, to abate or remove nuisance. A hearing on the appeal shall be held within 14 days and shall be conducted by a hearing officer, which we discussed, Dave and I discussed who we wanted for the hearing officer. Ideally, it's one of our lawyers, just because I hope Cameron stays for a very long time, longer than me, but with our history, I'd rather have someone that we always have on staff, so that way unsafe structures aren't when we have this person or we don't. And it also helps having some legal eyes attached to it as well, in my opinion. So they meet with the hearing officer. They might say, hey, listen, we want to fix it up, in which case they can work with me, a time frame to fix it up, if that's the route they want to go, following all the FEMA regulations and so on and so forth, within a reasonable time. I'm not going to accept, well, in 5 years I'm going to get it done. These multiple structures have been sitting for much longer than that. So within a reasonable time, the hearing officer, this is all just in case they think my decision was wrong. It's probably less me, but who knows? Someone comes to my place and they don't like their neighbor and all of a sudden it's an unsafe. It's just adding an extra step, an extra set of eyes. Again, the way I plan on writing these letters up, there should be no question that said structure is unsafe. But again, we have a separate person looking at it just to make sure. So they have this hearing within 14 days. Whatever the decision is, within 5 days of receipt of such notice, if they do not request a hearing or it fails to comply to order to abate and remove, the city may have such work done. That's it. So the city can go in and demo the house. The city's not in the, I don't want to get into the construction management to try and fix these houses. If it's unsafe, it just has to come down. The same would be for junk vehicles. Of course, this entire process could get stretched out if they get a lawyer and we end up in court. But at least this has a pretty strong framework that we can do. The last thing is in 2017, correct, Dave? The state adjusted their statute. Currently, with the cemetery board here. It's good. Our municipal code did not give me jurisdiction in the ETJ. So as much as I would have loved to take care of problems in our ETJ, in about 6 months from now, I'd be sitting in front of a judge in Omaha, and I'm sure if their lawyer was worth any salt, they'd go, hey, do you know you don't have jurisdiction here? And I'd be sitting there looking like someone I don't want to look like. So this would also adjust giving me jurisdiction over the ETJ for municipal code violations. I have zoning jurisdiction, I have code jurisdiction, all that, but not municipal code. So this would also add jurisdiction in the ETJ for municipal code, which includes nuisances. Again, junk, vehicles, equipment that is not being used correctly anymore, all that. So that's essentially what all of this is.
So this will address what the problem out by the cemetery, correct?
Correct. Where before,
It gives him the tool to address
Right.
it, yes.
correct, yeah, before I had no, which Dave just found two months ago. Again, I try and read everything as thoroughly as I can, but with zoning ordinances, municipal code, new construction developments, I apologize, I can't catch everything. And that was one that I just completely missed. And thank God Dave found it, because again, I'd be in court in Omaha looking looking silly is the nice way to put it. So this fixes that.
I make a motion to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, we got it, it's an ordinance,
Okay.
but I appreciate it. Does anybody have any other questions?
I'd only say the best part of the whole process was getting to meet Jerry. That was a real delight.
That's good. And she decided, we were getting this ordinance, now she can be done, right?
See why we want to keep her?
I know it. I know it. All right, so this item is ordinance number 815, which is revising Chapter 2, Article 6 of the official city code of the City of Valley regarding nuisances. I'd entertain a motion to introduce an ordinance 815 on the first reading.
So,
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second introducing ordinance 815 on the first reading. Is there any other discussion on it? No? Christy, will you read the short title, please?
Ordinance number 815, an ordinance of the City of Valley, Nebraska to repeal Chapter 2, Article 6 of the official code, city code, and to enact a new Chapter 2, Article 6 in its place, dealing with weeds, grasses, worthless vegetation, and unsafe buildings and structures, to define the same, to declare the same to be public nuisances, to provide for the abatement thereof, notice of noncompliance, and method of appeal, to appoint a hearing officer to hear appeals, to provide for the responsibility of the cost of abatement, to provide a penalty for the violation of this ordinance, to provide for the repeal of any ordinance or regulations in conflict herewith, to provide for the effective date of this ordinance, and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Thank you. Vote, please. All in favor? Is there a desire to suspend the rules and pass the ordinance on the second and third reading?
so moved.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? No? All right, vote please. All in favor? Ordinance number 815 is passed. All right, number 17, people service.
Hi, Mike Adair, People Service Inc. The exciting part, of course, was our power outage. I knocked out power for 5.5
That was
days. That was exciting, yes,
Okay.
yes. The good news is the water plant did not lose power. My house did not lose power. That's the best news of all. Because that side of town is buried line, so we didn't have any troubles there. But the first day, a majority of our lift stations were down. Second day, some more popped back up. Third day, some more popped back up. We had 3 out of Blue Water. Ginger Woods was completely out of power for that entire time. 5 days. So obviously Christy contacted me about some generators that were available. So we got 6 generators and we hooked them up to these 6 lift stations and ran them for 3 days with those generators. So I think it was rather smooth, you know, we didn't have any major backups or nothing blew up, so I think it went rather well for what we have to deal with. Water plant's running fine, waiting to get that new meter put in so that we can use the chemical pumps automatically. We are now running them manually so that we can produce the amount of water required. It's about an 8-hour job to put that in, so once we get it scheduled, then it gets hot, and then we have to put it off again, and then it cools down, so we schedule it, and it's kind of difficult to get all 3 of them people in there at the same time. So we are working on that. We don't have anything else too exciting. You guys have the report, so any questions, comments? Okay, thank you.
All right, number 18, Olmsted and Perry Water Improvement Project.
Good evening, Jim Olmsted and Perry. As you know, we've closed out 4 of the 5 projects. We were hoping that we would have been able to close out the 5th one tonight. Unfortunately, because of a supply problem, we could not get the condensation blanket in place before tonight's meeting. So it's going to have to roll over to our next meeting for closeout. But we do have to do some paperwork and take care of a couple items. One is to approve the change order to put in the condensation blanket. We had 2 possibilities, one to do a 22 ounce and one to do an 18 ounce. Mike and I consulted with that, and we decided we wanted to go with the heavier ounce blanket as opposed to the lighter one. The one that was in there had been quite deteriorated and quite shot up with holes so that it would drain water, and it was not capable of being reused. And they don't make that kind anymore. It's a different kind of fabric. So we're putting in a new type of a fabric. It's a vinyl at this point. Your agenda shows it being a 22 mil. It should be 22 ounce fabric. And that's what we're proposing that we put in. We need to add that by change order so we can get that covered with the state grant. And the amount of that change order is $11,580. And so that will be the final change order for the project. We do have a number of closeout items that we've already completed on the project. We have the certificate of substantial completion. We have all the bacteriological reports. We've got the warranties from the paint manufacturer. We've got a partial payment. I've got a check tonight from Onyx for $3,000 of the generator rental. That's about half of it. The other half's going to come after the 20th. So we'll have, I think the total was $6,250. There will be direct payment to the city for the generator rental. Items that remain then will be installation of the blanket, some final site work, should we need some final site work. I don't know that there's a lot more that we have to do on the site. And then we're also going to check the paint coverages because there was a shadow that's kind of showing up. They put an extra coat of paint behind the logo so that it's got additional mill thickness, but it looks like it's a little different glossy color to it or tone to it than the other white. So they're going to check that out when they return to put that blanket in. Make sure that they get that taken care of.
Is there any update on the vehicles?
Yes. As far as we know, we've heard that all of the claims have been taken care of. I think we requested if anybody had any further information. I've seen some correspondence and emails that it's been taken care of and satisfactorily so. So I think we're okay.
We reached out to a couple other people and they said that they were.
So I think we're all okay with that.
Well, I wanted to make sure they were taken care of first.
Yes, yes. So we want to make sure that that paint coverage looks okay. And of course they get that blanket installed and then we can close that out in September. So we do have one change order that requires council approval, and that's change order number 4 in the amount of $11,540 for the condensation blanket.
540 or 580?
580, I'm sorry, $11,580. Thank you, Linda.
So I have questions about why we are paying for this. I mean, we had talked about having this in the contract and knowing we needed one, like many, many times. And
We
then
thought
the
the one that was there was capable of being reused, and it was not. And that was the assumption that we made at the time. We did not have anything in the contract for a brand new one.
But the contract said that they should have returned it to its original state, and they threw the other one away.
They
I mean,
did.
and I don't know if you can, we talked about, we knew we needed a new one. I mean, we all knew what happened to the other one. We knew we needed one, so what?
I was gonna say that is true. We spoke of this several times in every meeting with them. And it was meant that it was supposed to be replaced.
Correct.
We knew it could not be reused.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be
And that could be true. But we went back and looked at the contract documents, and we didn't get the replacement in the contract documents. We had replaced what was there, and we didn't have a replacement with new. So it was not in the contract.
But the contract does say return to its original state, right?
No, it doesn't. It just says we replace things back to what they were in the condition before they started.
But then they threw it away, so they're not doing that.
They're not doing that. It got thrown away because it was in bad condition. I can't confirm that, but I think we all agree it was in bad condition.
Yeah, which is why we talked numerous times about making sure it was in the contract, and I guess I'm not sure how it was missed, but I'm struggling a little bit why we're paying more for it when they didn't follow the contract and either return it or get a new one. I guess maybe I'm not reconciling that.
Well, we couldn't replace it because it was not capable of being replaced.
Understand, but the contract still says return to the original state, and we had asked that was in the contract, knowing that we needed a new one.
But I know, but we didn't have that conversation prior to the bidding of the project. I didn't have it in the contract.
Okay.
So what is the current holdback from Onyx at this point?
It's just getting the new
What's the
blanket.
current amount we owe them?
We owe them about, I can't remember, 3,000, something like that, plus the 11,000.
But they also owe us money.
Right.
And did the generator get fixed again? Like the one generator that they used, there was an issue with it last week, or when the power was out?
It got new batteries, yes, it is fixed.
It is fixed now, okay. Did that cost anything that we need to pass on to them?
It was new batteries. I don't know if that was from them or not. I don't know if it was running when we actually got it back from them or what it was. I don't know. We went to go use it for the emergency and it wouldn't start, so we had to get new batteries for it.
I think that there was a repair cost of less than $200 on the generator, but we were charging them for the rental of the generator for that period of time, which accounted to about $6,250. That will be paid directly to the city.
Is that fire hydrant still tagged?
Is it still tagged?
Yeah, somebody had some pipe hooked to it.
No, somebody had a meter that they
Yeah,
were
they were buying water.
buying bulk water, but they're not anymore.
Not with this contract.
Right?
Yes, please, Mike.
Well, I'm just, this whole TARP thing is really, and I'm trying to get this figured out just the same as she is, because in the meetings with them, we discussed this several times, and then when they just threw it away because they were assuming they're gonna replace it. Because you don't throw something away unless you plan on replacing it, or you're going to keep it and give it back to you and try to put it back in the state that it was in. So this $11,000, I don't think is fully responsible for the city of Valley. I just don't know how to make it happen, but, because once again, this was brought up, I can't tell you how many times with them in the meetings that we had. Plus, if they were gonna return it back to the original state, we should have got it back. Instead of them just throwing it away, because the way I understand that is if they threw it away, they were assuming they were gonna put a new one up for the contract. So that's where I'm coming from, and I'm just trying to understand that maybe we come to an agreement with them or something that we don't pay for the entire thing.
And we can talk to them about it, but when we talked to them, it was after it was bid. That's the first time we would have talked to Onyx, is after they bid the project and we were the low bidder.
Right.
So none of
But
the
we had the
contract.
conversation with you a lot of times before that. So was it not in the bid? Was that the original thing? It was not put in
Correct,
the
it
big
was not
specs to
in
get
the
it?
bid. It was not in the bid to replace
That
it.
should have been in the bid,
Correct.
because it had a hole in it.
Yeah.
Shot.
Yeah, but it was not in the bid.
So, yeah, so that's just where, as people service representing the city, I'm just really concerned that we're getting stuck with something that we shouldn't have got stuck with.
I
Or
agree with that.
they should. I live here too, it's weed here.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should not have got stuck with.
Regardless of who the contractor was, whether it was Onyx or anybody else, they would not have had it in their contract. And it would have been an extra to put it in regardless of who was the contractor.
And if we don't approve the change order,
Then we don't have a fabric.
and you're saying this is billed back to the state,
Yes.
is the state gonna reimburse for this when it's not in the contract and we're approving random change orders? I mean, we're stumbling across the finish line here, it's embarrassing.
No, they will approve it. They will approve it. It's a legitimate change order.
But we're still paying for it. It's not a reimbursable expense in any way.
But it'll be part of the state project.
Right, but we're still paying for it. It's not part of the emerging contaminants piece, which is what we get 52% loan forgiveness. So we're still paying the full amount. It's just that we're gonna pay for it in a couple of years.
Right.
The state's gonna reimburse us right now.
Mhm.
Did we know that the breather bag, whatever it is, had a hole in it before we started the project?
We did, yes, and it was
who
just,
missed it in the specs?
We missed it. We missed it.
And maybe you should pay for it.
Maybe. But it would have been a cost to the project no matter what. Because it had to go into the project.
Do we have time still? I don't know what this thing does, but do we have time to talk to Onyx about trying to maybe get that cost down?
so what it does, it's the condensation bladder. So when it's hot out and the tank is sweating, essentially it catches the water, right?
Yes.
Right. And it prevents it from dripping down onto anything that's down below.
I mean, I
Did they
don't,
get shot by somebody with people service?
No. No, it was a mic, but it wasn't this mic.
Didn't say name.
it was the
It needed to
time.
be done.
Yeah, it had to be done. It was going to collapse. It was when the tank had a hole in it on a Sunday and we had welders out and the whole thing was going to collapse and cause even more problems because there was ice on it.
There was no way to relieve that pressure unless
Correct.
we put a hole in it, and we could not safely get close enough to poke a hole in it, so.
Correct. Decisions were made. Either way. Anyway, it needed replaced, and we've known for a couple of years it's needed replaced. I guess, I don't know if it's something, because it didn't get in the contract or the bids or anything, can we go, I mean, should we go out and bid it from other companies and see what we can get? Maybe it's not this expensive. I don't know. I mean, we do have their contract that says that they should return it to the original state, and they threw it away instead of doing that, or letting us make that decision.
Because there's a value to that old tarp, although it was destroyed, there's still a value there that somebody should compensate if not.
Sure.
Well, the value wasn't the 11,000 though, if it had a bunch of
No.
holes in it.
No,
Well, what was the value of it?
I can't tell you that.
Well, it was zero.
I mean, it's unusable.
Well, it's,
Jim, if it would
It's
have
one-
been in the original bid, I assume then the contractor would have bid on it and probably increased his bid by some amount.
If it was included in the original contract, it would have been an extra cost. It would have been included in the contract.
So we would have paid him for that extra cost if it would have been in the bid.
Correct.
Anybody else have any thoughts?
Is it worth going back and talking to him and see if we can Save some money?
Sure.
Is that something you
How long
want to
can
do?
we go without that, without problems?
I mean, it's not causing any problems, it's just protecting the things that might be in the bottom of the water tower from getting
There are
wet.
controls for the water tower, there are
Yeah.
controls for the cable company, there's all that stuff that sits
So
down
next
there.
week, when we get up in the higher 80s, close to 90, are we gonna be running into a problem?
Depends on humidity, there's so many factors on that. No, not,
I mean, we already haven't had one because they didn't put it back to its
Right.
original state since, I mean, when did we
Yeah.
fill the tank again, June, or
Yeah.
when was it?
When we had a lot hotter days.
Correct.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
don't have to drain that again, do you, to put the blanket in?
No.
Oh, goodness,
Okay.
no.
no,
Mike,
sir.
Mike, is there a cheaper option? I mean, could we just protect those control boxes with some kind of an awning over those?
Well, of course, yes, but it's the integrity of the bottom of the tower too, you know, with all that water sitting down there, plus they use their storage, it's part of your storage is there too, and without that ladder, you can't use it, because it just rains in there. And if it's on the ground, how's that gonna deteriorate the bottom of the tower, you know, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
if you're storing materials in there, yeah, you.
Yeah, you know, this is part of a tower, is
Yeah.
this device, you know?
I guess my recommendation would be that we go back and have a conversation with them or look at other options and not just approve the full amount, but it's up to you guys ultimately.
No, I think we should go back and have a conversation with Onyx and see where that leads. Whether it leads to us going out for more, another bid or whatever. I guess it needs to be rectified, and it needs to be, in my opinion, rectified as soon as possible.
Well, I'll talk to Onyx and see if we can't get a better price.
Is this the final item in this whole project?
Yes,
And then we're closing everything out?
everything is closed out.
And they have to,
And then
they have to
paint.
pay us back and fix and look at that other paint shadow, but yes.
Okay, I would make a recommendation, Jim, if you could go back and talk to Onyx about it.
Okay, well, let's pull the change order then for tonight. We won't do anything with
Just
that.
table it for tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything else for Jim? All right, city engineer, Brandon?
Good evening, we just got a couple of the street projects here on the first few items. The first one being the Big Street Dalbar retrofitting and diamond grinding. That one has been completed, and we do have just 2 items to execute the final change order amount and the deduct of $745.20. This is the pluses and minuses of the contract items. We do recommend approval of that.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve change order number 1, which is a decrease in the amount of $745.20 from Iowa Civil Contracting, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
And then we just have the corresponding final payment, number 2, to the contractor of Iowa Civil Contracting, in the amount of $110,127.48. That's just the work performed and the retainage release for that project. So this is their final payment to them. And we do recommend approval, sorry.
No, you're good. I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-45 for payment of contractor's application number 2 in the amount of $110,127.48 to Iowa Civil Contracting, Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
Item B, then we just have a progress payment for the Maple Road, 270th Street, Ginger Woods Road, base widening asphalt work. This is just a progress amount in the amount of $260,931.89. Just as a note, they are finishing up their seeding and restoration items on Ginger Woods Road, and they still have a couple patch items on 264 Circle that we've added to their contract that we're trying to get their patch crew back in here in the very, very near future. And then we would close this project out here in the September meeting would be the intent, so.
Is there striping that's getting added to that road?
Ginger Woods Road? No, not right now. It can always be added. So Doug's and I had a conversation on that.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-46 for payment of contractor's application for payment number 3 in the amount of $260,931.89 to Western Engineering Company.
I don't know if they were the ones that did it. So moved, yeah.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
Continuing, Stillwater Phase 2 paving improvements. This is the final payment and change order for this contract. This work's actually been for a while. We've been tracking down some paperwork with them for actually a couple months, so we have gotten to the finish line with this. But the first item, then we have a change order number 1, a decreased deduct amount of $19,066. That's the pluses and minuses. Basically, the developer was going to move forward with Phase 3 here in the near future, so we've removed like the temporary turnaround and stuff, so we aren't tearing it out in less than a year time frame. So if something comes up in the interim, that phase wouldn't come up and we needed to do emergency services access, we'd have to add something back in, but we can always do that at a future date. So we did remove that, and this, again, the pluses and minuses on a couple of these agenda items is the results in that final deduct amount. So having reviewed that, we do recommend approval of change order number 1.
Okay, I'm going to entertain a motion to approve change order number 1 for a decrease in the amount of $19,066 from NL&L Concrete Inc.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
And then correspondingly, we do have resolution 2024-47. This is the final payment to the contractor in the amount of $17,252.43. And then again, that's their final payment and release of any retainage that we have kept, and also engineering fees associated with our services according to the project. And having reviewed those, we do recommend approval of resolution 2024-47.
Okay, I entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-47 for payment of contractor's application for payment number 3 in the amount of $17,252.43 from NL&L Concrete Inc. and reimburse the City of Valley for engineering fees in the amount of $2,978.23.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
Then continuing, item D is the FY24 concrete street repairs. These are just the miscellaneous panels in the street, and this is just a progress payment to the contractor in the amount of $49,216.50. And having reviewed that, we do recommend the progress payment to them in that amount.
Entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-48 for the contractor's application for payment number 1 in the amount of $49,216.50 to Metro Driveway Replacement LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor? Are they going to use more barricades going forward?
Yes, and caution tape, yes. So there has been a mishap,
Yesterday,
yeah,
yes.
last night, so. Item E then, Valley Lakes Business Park, this is the work for sanitary sewer, basically for that development there at 264th Circle and Mig Street, and also just a short little water main extension for fire protection for those 2 parcels of property that they have platted. We did receive bids on August 1st, I believe was the date, and actually it was in the dark because we didn't have power at our office either. NL&L Concrete was the little bid of $252,836, and the second bid was $262,000. Both of those were actually over the estimate at the time, but basically the subcontracting work or the dewatering work as a subcontractor was basically the primary difference of the bid amounts and what we had in our estimate. So we had reached out to Mr. Bailey, who's the developer, and he did concur with that. And of course, then we do have the ILOC for the, or sorry, not the ILOC, the security deposit, I believe, right, Jeff? It's not the ILOC, it's the escrow funds. Yes, there we go. So, but they have agreed to the bid, so we do recommend the bid award of the project to NL&L Concrete.
Okay.
Just a motion.
Okay, entertain a motion to award the concrete to NL&L Concrete for sanitary sewer and water main at Valley Lakes Business Park.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor?
And then finally, just some general updates is the Ginger Woods number 3 in Valhaven 2 and Ginger Woods 2, those lift station projects. I did talk with Burba Construction, who's had all that, and I was waiting again for materials for months, is that they were going to show up like September 10th to the 15th is what they were telling me right now. So they're still a couple weeks out. They got backed up on other projects while they were waiting for this and took on more work. So that is the current time frame. I did encourage them to try to get this done for this fiscal year expense. So that's the goal right now, is to get it done in September so we can get this paid out. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you guys have anything. Thank you.
Good evening. Just FYI, and for Mike's benefit, no substantive changes to the people service contract. Greg went through the exhibits, and we added the lift stations, changed and things like that. So we have a red line that we're going to send out. I'm sure it'll be fine, and we'll have it on the agenda at the next meeting, okay? We have the TIF committee meeting that's been referred to on the 23rd, and there'll be 3 items on the agenda there. Prominence Global, which are the developers of the area south of the EAA Fields, Valley Lakes Business Park, which has been in front of the TIF committee, but they have not made a recommendation, and Flatwater Estates, which is the area behind the weather station. Spent some time on some personnel matters this month. Andrea has been working with the attorney for the fire department. They want to close out the deal with the city in October. No action is required tonight. I just want to let you know that that's coming. The only thing left to do is the easement in the old right-of-way behind the fire station, and Greg's working on a legal. Once we have the legal, that'll be part of the deal. We're waiting on some signed documents back from Mr. Kielbasa. I explained about the ILOC agreement, and we'll get all of those. We'll get the ILOC itself, and then they'll be done. But they're going gangbusters out there now. So that's it, unless you have some questions. Oh, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. Mayor's report. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the storm damage and cleanup. So we had the 6 lift stations that were without power for several days. The library was also without power, what was until Tuesday, like 5 days. So they were very long. We did issue a disaster declaration for that so we can get reimbursement from state and federal emergency management. And we did have to do the disaster declaration to work with Douglas County Emergency Management to get those generators. I think you all know that becomes a team effort when we have a natural disaster. So thanks to a lot of people, obviously the night of fire department and police, chief had many, and I don't know where he went, the chief had many extra officers come in. The fire department had a command center. Obviously no there might have been a couple injuries on an overturned truck, but no real injuries, anything like that. Volunteers that came out of nowhere and were moving trees off the street. Public Works came in. Obviously, our staff does a lot of extra work and does things not in their job. Rune manned the tree dump for several days, and Christy's learned a lot. I mean, everybody pitches in and does things that they're not normally doing. So, emergency contractor-wise, just thanks to a few. And Doug, if I forget somebody, please tell me. MSW course, he's done a lot of it and picking things up. Owen Kobus, Alex Toole, Stanzel's Mow and Snow, and then Steinbach Equipment, Jason Steinbach, he showed up with his payloader and kept coming back. So we appreciate that. Did I miss anybody?
No.
Okay. The tree dump is closed as of now, and then they'll have to get a tub grinder to grind everything up and do all of that. And then they're gonna go around and pick up from the curb one more time. So I'll put out on Facebook either later today. I know Cameron gave me the verbiage to put out there, or in the morning. But by next Monday, the 16th, everybody needs to have their stuff out at the curb, and that'll be the last time we pick up on the curb.
It's actually Friday.
Friday.
The 16th.
Okay. See, I knew it was the 16th, I just had.
Yeah, it's Friday the 16th. So we'll make one more trip to town, Public Works, picking it up, so.
Okay. Anything else?
And the tree dump is, I mean, we still have room in the tree dump, but it's by appointment only. They just have to call and I meet them out there because we were getting overwhelmed with contractors from all over doing their stuff. So I don't want to pay for having that come if it's not actually coming from our area, so.
Yep. Any questions about any of that? No? Okay. I think Douglas County Emergency Management will come out and do some assessments and that stuff that Christy will help work with that. So, let's see, the staff offered some tours during the Valley Days event as part of the JEO engagement. Did we have anybody? No?
I didn't.
Okay. Nobody took advantage of that. So we'll still offer them by appointment if anybody wants to come in and tour our existing city hall. And then obviously we just had Valley Days this weekend. I think everything went well. Didn't have any issues that I heard about from fire, police, public works. So it was a good event. Any comments or questions on any of that?
A new station alert has arrived.
Okay. Upcoming items, next week we have planning commission at 4:30 on Tuesday. And then a Valley Days wrap-up meeting if anybody wants to come and give their ideas of how we can make it better for future years. And then that is all. We do need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Vote please. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
More ways than one.
Sounds like, No,